Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
Sportjo is offering paid internships for candidates who take the sports core test. If you want to build a career in the exciting world of sports, this is your opportunity to do just that. Click on the link in the description for more details. Hi guys, today we'll be speaking to the CEO of Sports Interactive, and we're going to speak to someone who's had a very illustrious and interesting career over the years. He started at IIT Bombay and he's worked at consulting giants like McKinsey at one end and also broadcasting with ESPN. So we're going to talk about his journey before he eventually made it to Sports Interactive, where he is the CEO right now. I'd like to welcome Arvind Iyengar to the discussion. Hi Arvind.
Hey Karan, how are you doing?
Good. Okay, Arvind, just to start off, and obviously we start off with IIT. You were at IIT Bombay many ages ago, and what was the role that sports played over there for you in your life?
Sport was always something I've been passionate about and never really been particularly good at beyond maybe being a gully cricket champion, and even there I'd say mixed. But
Right.
passion for sport really came from watching sport, organizing sport, as well as doing things like commentary when I would play gully cricket with my friends. So even at IIT, actually, one thing I was very excited about was the whole league format, and this was IPL pre everything else, right? So before any of that had happened, we actually set up our own little hostel league, which took away from the regular competitions where we had like a draft where people were coming in, teams had their own names, there were team owners, there were small budgets that people were working with.
After graduating from IIT Bombay, you went on to become a consultant at McKinsey, and but what you chose to do after McKinsey is something that is again very unique, and I don't know how many disadvantages transfer from McKinsey to an ESPN star, especially when you're supposed to be facing the camera and wearing a suit and talking very knowledgeably about sport that you haven't played at the highest level. So what was that like, and what was your experience at that time?
The only way I could transition to sport apparently seemed to be taking part in a TV reality show. I literally showed up at an audition, so no one really cared about my background.
Hi Arvind.
Great to be here.
Arvind, be yourself. I like
Sure.
what we've heard so far, like your knowledge. And we have a clip here. Just be yourself, okay?
Sure. Tendulkar hits it, didn't quite middle it, through covers. Monty punishes the fielder, going after it. Oh, there's a mix-up between the batsmen. Ganguly could be gone. Oh, that's tight. Ganguly made a cardinal mistake. He took his eyes off Tendulkar. He was ball watching, and this could be tight.
I think for some reason I had them fooled a little bit. I ended up
Right.
making it to the final 18. I took a break from McKinsey for a couple of weeks while we shot the show. Made it to the final 4, which was in Australia, and then eventually finished runner-up, because of which I got a job at ESPN Star. So that involved moving to Singapore, but it was very different from my McKinsey life. Right, I took a 80% pay cut to actually go and do it, but it was something I was always passionate about. Right, like growing up, like even in undergrad, people were like, "What do you want to do?" I never said I want to be a consultant. I was like, I'd like to be a sports commentator. And there's no sports commentary school, so you do engineering. But this was my one take, and it felt like a no-brainer to do it. And I was fortunate again. This is where a place like McKinsey was extremely supportive, saying, if this is something you really like to do, go do it.
For a guy who's grown up in India and has the tags of an IIT Bombay and a McKinsey to himself, and he's used to being treated a certain way most of the places, shifting to Singapore, shifting into sports media, what was that experience like? And was it a little bit of an irritant in the beginning when people didn't take you seriously?
More than anything else, I think it was a humbling experience, right? To just recognize that there is a whole world out there, and while you're accomplished in one field, and when you transition to an entirely different field, people don't give you that benefit of the doubt because they don't really know where you're coming from, right? And so
Right.
just recognizing that you've always got to stay hungry, you've always got to be humble, and you've got to start from scratch and earn your way, I think is the learning that kicked in after that first month. After which that stint was really a lot of fun. Like, well, look, everyone cares about incentives and comp and things like that. I realized a lot of these other factors were more important, right? And so it made it clear to me that I was looking for a marriage of the two, which was being in sport and media to an extent, but also being in a position of responsibility to impact change, and working on things that I thought were large and meaningful enough.
So was an MBA at Stanford the solution in that direction?
It was, and it wasn't a preconceived plan. It kind of happened along the way. And so the MBA of Stanford happened with, there's a new scholarship that had launched at that time. A colleague told me about it, an ex-McKinsey colleague, and because of that I ended up applying and was fortunate to make it in. But
Right.
the MBA fit in nicely with finding my love for sport and, either being an entrepreneur or a senior executive at a company and really taking on a leadership role. So I went into that Stanford MBA with a focus on sports management and entrepreneurship. And even that summer, I ended up working in sports organizations.
Gone to so many interesting places, done so many interesting courses, things, jobs, etc. It eventually got you to Sports Interactive, where you are right now. You are a CEO there. So how did the Sports Interactive bit happen? How did it fit into your larger plan for your career?
So pre-Sports Interactive, I was with this private equity firm, KKR, which again was a phenomenal experience. And then that's when I'd come across Sports Interactive a few times. I knew the founder pretty well. And we'd spoken a few times about possibly trying to collaborate together. We'd done some work back in the day. And what became very clear was this was a great company that fit a lot of the things that I wanted, right? More than anything though, my KKR days taught me to look at this as an opportunity, come in with a 100-day plan and say, is there really scale to grow, right? So almost approach it with an investor mindset to say, this is a small company today. It was about, 65, 70 people, profitable, doing well, but with an opportunity to really grow further, to expand beyond some of the things that were happening with data to data and fan engagement.
Arvind, what about the Sports Interactive business model got you excited about it? Because let's face it, at the end of the day, sports is traditionally not been very easily corporatized, especially in India. What about the business model excited you about at Sports Interactive?
What Sports Interactive did was actually capture data from live sports events and then license that out to a bunch of other people to actually consume that data, right? Whether that's live data feeds going on a publisher, whether that's live data feeds going out on large platforms where you consume sports. A lot of that is provided by Sports Interactive. So for example, today when you actually go and search for live data feeds on most platforms, whether that's on a Microsoft and you search it on Bing, or you ask Amazon and Alexa, or Google, Facebook, all of these large guys, just the core data information that's coming out is being powered by Sports Interactive. So these are data feeds that Sports Interactive is capturing and giving to other people around the world. What Sports Interactive was doing with that data then is giving it out to a few folks who were building a few other applications on top of it that were driving fan engagement, right? Whether it's things as simple as websites and apps, whether it's things like automated infographics, whether it's things like fantasy games. And we said, hey, there's an opportunity for us to do that ourselves because we had a really strong tech team, really strong tech process in terms of the way work got done. But it was just kind of limited to trying this out a little bit and being almost service driven to what a client might ask instead of being product driven. So the first pivot was literally to say, what is our product roadmap to figure out what sports fans really like? And a lot of it just stemmed from redefining the vision to say our vision is to revolutionize the sports fan experience by building best-in-class products and services. Our clients include the likes of FIFA or UEFA or the Olympic Channel or Mumbai Indians and several others.
What do you think makes the sports fan unique compared to other consumers? And hence, how does your work as a business change because of that?
I think you said it really well. The consumer and fan is different, right? Like, no one wakes up saying, man, that's a great shampoo that I use, and like they're not going to buy a shampoo jersey tomorrow, right? But sports is irrational, right? Like to this day, I believe there are 3 reasons India won that famous Eden Gardens test in Kolkata, right? One is VVS Lakshman, who along with Dravid, that unbelievable partnership, Lakshman's 281, they just put in a great performance, right? 2 is Harbhajan Singh's heroics on day 5, right? That great spell, getting the wickets. I mean, they were critical. Because I sat in a particular position throughout day 4 and day 5. And because I didn't move, magically, I was having an impact on the Indian team. Right? And it makes no sense, right? That irrationality that comes with sports fans is critical. And therefore, when you're even designing products, you need to think about the fact that you need to tap into that fandom all the time. When you're creating content, you need to recognize that this isn't just some a discount offer. This is not a transaction. This is part of identity. This is part of who I am. This is part of very much everything that drives me as an individual. And so therefore, appeal to that at a core level when you're getting into product design. And that's where I think you have a differentiator if you actually have, like with us, 450 plus sports fans working in the organization, right? Like when it comes to social media,
Right.
you can't sit and just write a content calendar and define everything later, right? If something crazy happens over the weekend, you need to talk about it, right? If there was a crazy Grand Prix, you need to talk about it. A crazy US Open final, you need to talk about it. And that fandom is just hard to teach.
What happens with a lot of youngsters these days, Arvind, is that they mistake this fandom for a career choice. How do you make that differentiation as a youngster in terms of whether you are actually just a sports fan or are you actually someone who wants to build a career in sports?
I think it's important for an individual and someone looking to pursue a career in sport to understand what they actually want out of a career, right? And there's not a right answer for everyone, but if what drives you at work is this constant fever of, hey, there's a sporting event on, you're excited about coming into work on a Sunday and actually covering a match, and you're excited about the fact that you're going to be talking to other sports fans, and this is something that you're doing all the time, then you should absolutely look at sport, right? I've seen people who come in with, sports fandom and they've got a little jaded saying, hey, it's my passion, but it's not something that I wanted to do as a career, right? And so I think you need to keep that in mind. But the only way to try it, if you're really, really passionate about sport, is to take a chance, right? See how it works out and then evaluate later, because early in your career, you can make those choices.
Sports Interactive is going to be offering internships to students who take up the Sportjo course, which essentially is for students like these who are still figuring out which career they want to get into. And taking the course with Sportjo will get a chance to intern with your company. So what is your thought process behind it and how do you think it can help these youngsters?
I think we're looking for people who have that cultural fit, who have that passion for sport and want to give it a chance, because we believe in taking chances on people who have these core abilities, and then the roles can always get figured out. Assessing candidates through its robust testing mechanism, through everything it does, through a guidance perspective, to be able to really say, where do you think you'll be a good fit? So both from a candidate perspective as well as from an organization perspective, we can say, hey, your natural proclivity could be towards sports content, and so you should get into a writing team at Sports Interactive. Or development or something could be interesting and you need to look at something. Or actually operations and event management makes more sense, and so Sports Interactive may not be the right fit for you. Maybe you need to look at something else. From that perspective, Sportjo is great in really understanding the different elements of sport. Srini, with all his experience in sport, has done pretty much everything there. And so, him being involved to really figure out what skill sets are required in each role, I think helps candidates figure out what makes sense, because sport can mean so many things, right? And so figuring out where to even start on that is a good point. And then for an organization like us, it helps us get candidates who are a good fit, and hopefully that all comes in nicely together.
Live sport is happening in a very limited kind of way. Operations have gone down, stadiums are empty, and you're putting fake sounds to make people excited. It's a very strange time to be in the middle of, especially if you aspire to be in sports as a career. So what would be your message to them?
Yeah, I think, Winston Churchill once said something like, never waste a good crisis, right? And I'm not saying there's anything great about this crisis, but with it comes opportunities to figure out what you could do. So part of this goes beyond sport, is to figure out how each industry is going to evolve, right? And if there's something for anyone out there, for any field they're interested in, how is that world going to evolve, right? How is digital going to play a bigger role? How does technology play a bigger role? How does all of it come together in terms of what the world might look like in the future? And therefore, what skill sets and experiences are you building for that? From a true sport perspective, therefore, as Sports Interactive, I think we are fortunate to be in a very digital focused world. We've obviously been hit with less live sport happening in a few months and things like that. But our focus has not been about, how do we save a penny here and save another dollar there. It's been about, what do we build for the future, right? How do we think of the world as a digital stadium, and what can you build out there, right? What are some of the new technologies, especially with things around AI and ML, where you're building out some of our products and capabilities, so you're driving more automation? What are the new fan experience going to be like, where you've got these fake sounds, but there is that fandom, right? The sports fandom has not gone away because of COVID-19, right? If anything, it's stronger. And if you're not actually able to get to the stadium, what can you create for the fan to bring them closer? And then what can you create for other stakeholders in the ecosystem who are not getting box seats to a game and things like that, right? So I think there are going to be a lot of opportunities in every field that come out of this. Sport, obviously, I think is a big unifier that can bring people together in times like this. So I think it's very interesting. And I think if you're a youngster, depending on your stage in life, you can either say this is a time for me to take a risk if situation allows you to, right? I don't think everyone has that ability. But if you are in a position you can do that, I'd say take a chance, try it out, see whether it works out. And if you can't, maybe hold off and try that a few years later, right? But I think the only way you can figure out if this is a sector in which you want to work in is actually to try it out. And then it'll very quickly within a year become apparent if this is where you want to build your long-term career.
This was a very interesting conversation on career itself and how people should make important decisions around that. So appreciate you taking out time and having this chat with us.
Thank you, Kunj. Appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
Sportjo is offering paid internships for candidates who take the sports core test. If you want to build a career in the exciting world of sports, this is your opportunity to do just that. Click on the link in the description for more details.